Alrighty, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Max Sheriff Dunks, and this channel is dedicated to helping people to become super athletic, jump really high, sprint really fast, become super explosive, ultimately just to become freak athletes. Now you've clicked on this video because you want to get better at acceleration. So I think we should get into the full guide. So today I'm going to take you through a full guide to develop acceleration. Let's get into it. In this guide, you're going to learn why acceleration is the most important athletic trait for you to develop. You're going to learn how to train acceleration. You're going to learn the technical side of acceleration, and you're going to see stuff that you've never seen before. You're going to truly learn how to become a next level athlete, how to become super fast, super explosive, how to become a very good accelerator. First of all, who am I? Well, my name is Max Sheriff Dunks, and as I've said about this channel, I literally just help people to jump higher, sprint faster, become explosive, that kind of thing. I've taken my 40-yard dash from 5.2 seconds to 4.67 seconds. So I've improved astronomically in terms of my sprint speed, and of course, the 40-yard dash is predominantly an acceleration test, isn't it? So that just goes to show that my acceleration has gotten much, much better. I've also increased my vertical jump from 22 inches to 38 inches, which is just groundbreaking progress. And I also went from not touching the rim to windmilling. So clearly I'm a lot more athletic than I used to be. So let's get into the guide. The two types of acceleration that we need to improve are early acceleration and late acceleration. Early acceleration, as we can see here, is the first three steps. That's all about that force, that power. Then the late acceleration is more upright, but you're still leaning forward a bit and accelerating. So we're going to go into how to train each of these respectively. So this is what early acceleration training will look like. We can see here we've got the broad jumps, we've got the sled sprints, we've got the squats, we've got the Bulgarian split squats. So how should you train early acceleration? Well, there's many ways of training it. It's probably the easiest type of acceleration to train. So in terms of, I've color coded this by the way, in terms of sprinting, you want to do heavy sleds. We're talking 50 to 70% body weight. Sleds are so good because it develops your horizontal force production. When you're dragging a sled behind you, you have to push horizontally to be able to get forward. And especially when it's a heavy weight like that, there's insanely high horizontal forces. And that is going to develop your ability to accelerate early on. That's going to enable you to push out the blocks really quickly. It's going to enable you to have a really quick first step and produce lots of force horizontally. Then the other ones we've got are push-up starts and kneeling starts. These are great because they have deep shin angles, right? When you go up from laying on the ground in a push-up start, you have to have deep shin angles to get out of that position fast. So those two must do if you want to increase your early acceleration, and the resisted sprints are an absolute staple. If you're not doing them, you simply don't want to be good at accelerating. That is like the best thing you could do for early acceleration. Heavy sled means high force. High horizontal force means you can get better acceleration. Okay, it's as simple as that really. Now in terms of the plyometrics in the grey color here, you want to be doing broad jumps and single leg broad jumps. There's a direct correlation between how high your broad jump is and how far your broad jump is and how fast you can sprint. There was a study done that showed there was a very, very high correlation. So you need to get better at broad jumping. And broad jumps is literally just a test of your horizontal power, your horizontal rate of force development. And that is what early acceleration is. If you have a high early rate of force development in a horizontal orientation, you're going to be fast. You're going to be able to accelerate fast. There's even calculators online that you put in your sprint speed and it'll guess your broad jump, and it's actually really accurate, and vice versa. So that just goes to show that longer broad jump, you're going to be able to accelerate faster. So work on your broad jump, do that 2 times a week, and that will help you to become super good at acceleration. Now, in terms of the weight room stuff, Bulgarian split squats, an absolute staple if you want to get faster, get better acceleration. Bulgarian split squats train maximum glute force production in angles specific to sprinting, angles that you see in early stance and when the glute is fully lengthened. So you see in the picture here on the right, my glute is fully lengthened, and that is specific to the Bulgarian split squat. It's also on one leg, so it's even more specific. If we can get better at producing force on one leg in pretty sprint specific angles, in terms of early acceleration, we're going to be good at acceleration. So that is a definite must-do exercise. The seated calf raise is also a must-do exercise. So in early acceleration, our knees are bent, right? And we're in there's like a 90-degree angle almost in very early acceleration. And when your knee's bent, your soleus is activated, and basically we need to get our soleus very, very strong so that we can push hard, produce lots of force to be able to propel ourselves forward and ultimately accelerate as fast as possible. Then with the back squats, more force is going to enable us to be faster, early acceleration. Basically, early acceleration is all about horizontal force. How much force can you produce? This is why you'll see, bodybuilders, they might even be able to keep up with elite sprinters for maybe like the first 2 or 3 steps, but then after that they're gone, because it's all about force in terms of early acceleration. Then so back squats, you're going to increase your body's ability to produce force. Half squats is going to be more specific to sprinting because it's more specific joint angles, because you don't sprint with your legs like this. You sprint early acceleration more like this. Then power cleans. Power cleans are the best thing you can do to increase your rate of force development, and acceleration is all about rate of force development. Even though it's in a vertical orientation, it's still going to increase your ability to sprint fast and be good at acceleration. Before we continue, why even is acceleration so important? Well, when we look at a sport, let's say football, soccer, or rugby, or NFL, or anything like this, any field sports, there's a very high likelihood that the most amount you sprint in one go is like 30 meters, and that of course is acceleration. And in like contact sports, speed is so important. And if you only have, by the way, the biggest predictor of sort of contact collision success in a sport like rugby or NFL is momentum, and momentum is mass times velocity. So if you've got a heavy player who's moving fast, chances are he's going to be able to break the tackle very easily. But if you only got 10 meters, it's all about acceleration. So better acceleration means you're likely going to be better at your sport. Additionally, people who can accelerate well are going to be able to get up to a higher top speed. Acceleration very much determines how fast you can be able to sprint. If you have bad acceleration, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's easy to develop compared to top-end speed, and it's something that you need to develop. If you can accelerate well, chances are you're going to be very good at your sport. The best athletes that I know are the ones who can accelerate well. Now let's move on to late acceleration. So late acceleration is more speed strength, there's higher peak powers, and it's 45-degree angles. So what do you want to be doing for this? In terms of sprinting, we want to be doing resisted sprints, but with a lighter weight, at 25 to 50% of your body weight, because that's going to develop your horizontal power production as opposed to force production. which means that you're going to get better at late acceleration. Late acceleration is more about power and less about raw force, because you're already moving. You just need to be able to push hard, powerful. Then 30-yard sprints, obviously acceleration is basically like the first 30 yards. So the better you can get at 30-yard sprints, the better you're going to be just in terms of late acceleration. Then in terms of the plyometrics, we want to be doing sort of repeat plyometrics. Triple broad jumps, a really good indicator of how good you are at general sort of late acceleration, because you're rebounding, boom, 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 which is more like a late acceleration, whereas early acceleration is more like a broad jump, just exploding out the blocks. Bounds, really good. They're obviously specific. Standing triple jump, that's going to be really good. It's actually quite specific because it's one leg. So these three, they're all horizontal, so it's going to basically develop your body's ability to produce, to be powerful in a horizontal orientation. Then hurdle jumps is the only vertical one, but that's such a good exercise because you're popping up as high as you can and being really quick, and that is exactly what we want to be doing in terms of our late acceleration. Then in terms of the weight room, there's not as much that can increase your body's ability to be good in late acceleration as there is in early acceleration, but hang cleans are really good. You're going to increase your rate of force development in more joint specific angles, and I found personally that hang cleans really helped with my acceleration, but that's just me. Definitely a must do exercise if you want to get faster, I suppose. Next, let's talk about technique. So if you can execute these acceleration cues, your technique will look better than 90% of athletes, okay? The main two that I want to talk about is pushing down and back in your first 3 steps and throwing your shoulders out in front of you. Pushing down and back in your first 3 steps, that's a cue that really helped me, right? You want to be really focusing on down and back, down and back, down and back, and then down, down, down. That's how we want to be doing it, okay? That enables you to just be really forceful and get going really quickly, have a lot of horizontal force, and I just think it's a great cue. If you want to be good at acceleration, do that cue. It will help your technique look amazing and you'll be fast because of it. Then throw your shoulders out in front of you. That's just all about projection, right? And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Throw your shoulders forward, and that will help you to project your body forward so you can push behind you. Then these two are a bit sort of vague, but deep shin angles, that's just something you really look for. There's not really a cue for it, I suppose. Oh, we said about deep shin angles earlier. The 2 things you want to do for them is kneeling starts and push-up start sprints. That will help you. So I suppose if you do those 2 for a bit, then it will become like second nature for you having those deep shin angles. So that should help you, to be honest. Then if you're starting from like a 3-point or 4-point stance, make sure to push off the back foot. A lot of people push off the front foot, and that basically means they stand up immediately. But if you push off the back foot, it means you can keep leaning forward, I guess, and pushing behind you. By the way, after those 3 steps, a cue I like to use is stab the ground, because when I don't think about that, I don't hit the ground with enough force, but when I stab the ground, I feel my fastest. So that's just a different cue. Then now we're going to go into some extra sort of stuff. Basically, if you want to get fast, you need to sprint, right? If you're complaining about not being fast, sprint 1 to 2 times per week and that issue will be solved. It's all about the law of specificity. If you want to get better at something, you have to do that thing more often. The thing with sprinting though is that you can't really grind it. You can't go, oh, I'm going to do this for 5 hours a day. It's not how that works, because ultimately with sprint, I think we're going to come on to this, sprinting, you have to be sprinting above 95% of your max speed to stimulate the CNS, the central nervous system. If you're sprinting below it, you're not going to get any adaptations from it. So what does this mean? Well, you need to be resting in between sprints. You need to be fresh when you sprint. You need to warm up well. You need to be hydrated. You need to have slept well. You need to be just fully activated and ready to go. You can't have any soreness when you're sprinting. Basically, the way I like to think of it is it's just all about performance. You need to be going at, your max effort. You need to treat every sprint session like a World Cup final, or a Super Bowl, or whatever sport you play, or NBA finals. You need to be treating it like that, because you're not going to get adaptations if you're not sprinting above 95% of your max speed. Ultimately, that's what the research shows, and you have to truly push hard to be able to push the adaptations. Sprint and sprint with intent. Another way of pushing intent is timing your sprints. Now, you probably don't have timing gates. I don't. I just use my phone camera app. Basically, you set it up where you can see the start and the finish. You take the video, then at the end you go to the edit function. I don't know, I have an iPhone, but if you have an Android, I'm sure there's something similar. And then you go into the edit mode, and you'll see the time you finish, the time you start, you subtract it, and then you get your time. And then when you're timing it, you actually push proper intent. I think there was a coach who said, was it Charlie Francis or someone who said, if you're not timing it, you're not actually sprinting. So timing is a pretty powerful thing. When I started actually timing my sprints, I think that's when I truly developed. Timing, you've got to do it. And I think we've said a bit of this, but rest at least a minute for every 10 meters you sprint. Rest in between sprint sessions at least 24 hours, and don't go longer than 72 hours. The cutoff for sprint speed is 5 days. So basically, if you don't sprint for 5 days, you will lose sprint speed. Whereas for something like strength, it's like 30 days, and a muscle might be even longer, or I don't know. You'd have to look, but diet, eat lots of carbs before training, then eat adequate protein and carbs after training. You need to replenish your carbohydrate stores, and you need protein for growth and repair of your cells. Don't be afraid to eat lots. Right, you're a sprinter. You have to treat it like sprinting. You have to treat it like you're a world-class sprinter. You need to have adequate energy so you can push hard every single session, and have rest days, right? You need to be resting. Sprinting is intense, but if you can do sprinting and do it right, it will change your athleticism forever, okay? Sprinting, there's no single better movement pattern for increasing general athletic capabilities than sprinting, period. If you do sprints, I can guarantee you'll put on muscle easier, you'll get stronger, you obviously get faster. It even improves like other attributes. I think there was a study that showed that something like 8 weeks of sprint training and some baseball pitchers pitched it way faster or something. And there was a research study that showed it provided better results in terms of power, strength and agility than traditional plyometric training. So sprinting is really powerful, even if sprinting isn't a massive part of your sport. Like basketball is not a massive part of your sport, but it helps those other things. It helps like your vertical jump, it helps your strength, your body composition. And have you seen like all the fascia stuff on Instagram? Basically fascia training is bullshit, for those of you who don't know. Doing toe curls is not going to get you more athletic, but the real fascia training is like sprinting, jumping, and that basically gets your fascia in order. I don't know the science behind it, but I just know that sprinting is like the best thing you can do for your fascia. Now let's talk about the easiest way to get fast. So look, a lot of the stuff I've said today might have been a bit complicated. You might be thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to plan my training? Well, if you want me to do all the programming for you, I have a one-on-one coaching program designed to help you to get fast, jump high, be explosive, be athletic. No matter what your goals are, no matter what sport you play, we will cater towards you. We will program it around your needs. And basically we have a guarantee that you'll get faster, more athletic, more explosive, and you'll feel better than ever before. We also have a 12-week vertical jump training program. So this is, well, it's not going to be as good as the one-to-one coaching, okay? But it's cheaper. So if you're looking for that option, have a look. And at the very least, we have a free 4-week speed training program for you. So have a look at that. That will probably get you faster. It will get you faster. But yeah, I have confidence in all of these. I firmly believe that it would be truly worthwhile if you want to upgrade your athletic capabilities. If you want to come back next season being the most athletic on the field, you know where to look. Have a look in the description. I have so much confidence in these. I firmly believe that if you sign up to any one of these, you'll get more athletic. Period. I've not failed yet. So have a look. In terms of the one-on-one coaching, you might be thinking it's pretty pricey, but you're going to get so much better. You're going to get so much results. You're going to become more athletic than ever before. But, what if it actually worked? What if you actually became the most athletic on the field? What if you became the best player in your team? What if you were able to win tournaments, win leagues because of your athletic capabilities? What if you were able to win awards just because you're so much more athletic? If that's what you're interested in, have a look in the description. I firmly advise you do. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I am sure I will see you in the next one.